Hey guys, let's get right into it because I do not want to keep you waiting. You've been waiting long enough for a video from the Melanin, haven't you? Don't talk shit. Anyway, Marvin Gaye, who was born Marvin Pence Gaye Jr. He is the junior of his father. He later would add an E onto his name because it was rumored that his dad was a cross-dresser and he wanted to separate himself from, I guess, that title. So we know, I don't have to sit here and give you a lesson on it. Nevertheless, Marvin was brought up in like a very strict Pentecostal church house. His dad was a reverend, and even though he was a reverend, it did not stop him from drinking and being violent and having just arguments with his mother. And it was just it was a very tumultuous environment for the kids to come up in. Nevertheless, Marvin was successful. He was later in life signed to Motown Records, and in the beginning he was just kind of like a behind the scenes kind of dude. He played the piano for the Supremes, Stevie Wonder. He was writing music. He was, working with Smokey. Smokey is like the Neo back in the 70s. So, definitely nothing but hits coming out of Motown. It was, like Bad Boy, like Bad Boy and other record labels, like Young Money. I don't know. Anyway, nevertheless, later he would go on to come out as a solo artist, and he was very successful. He had his Sexual Healing, Let's Get It On. He also did What's Going On, which was really controversial because in the beginning they were like, you know what, this song ain't gonna do nothing. You don't need to be out here getting involved in all this politics and stuff like that. They didn't think it was gonna be a hit, and it ended up being, like, I think his biggest hit. So nevertheless, Marvin, continued on. He had 2 wives. Now the first wife was Berry Gordy's sister, and she was a little bit older than Marvin, but nevertheless, he was in love. He loved her all day long. And, as his life went on, maybe he fell out of love. Music business is very difficult. So touring, there's a lot of strain on that. He later met another lady who he fell in love with, who was a little bit younger. And he married her. But at that time, he started, dibbling and dabbling in drugs, and I don't know an R&B or any artist from back in that day that didn't dibble and dabble in substances. Like, I haven't seen a story yet where there's none involved. So that was just that time in that kind of business. That's just, I guess, what people did. So he did that. He struggled. He kind of got in debt. He got a divorce from his wife. He actually had to make a whole album and give her the proceeds of it, but it wasn't his best album because I had never even heard of it when they were talking about it. He later got back on his feet. He came out with more good music. And towards the 80s and closer to the time of his death, he had just come off a tour. He had moved in with his parents, and that wasn't exactly ideal because, obviously they had troubles in his childhood. They had fought a lot. It just really wasn't the best environment, and he was still struggling with substances and bouts of depression, so that wasn't the best environment. And with just his dad, his relationship was never the greatest. They argued, and on the day of his death, which was April 1st, and that was one day before his birthday, his mom and dad were arguing, and he comes in to like kind of defend his mom and say, hey, you ain't be yelling at my mama like this. And they, started fighting, and it got, real violent. And then, the mom was trying to calm everything down and, talk to Marvin, and he was in a whole separate room, and here come the daddy in there to shoot his own son. So he shot him like 3 times in the chest, and he died in his brother's arms, is what I read and seen in the documentary, that his brother lived right next door. He came rushing over and his brother Marvin died right in his arms, and he was struggling so bad that at the time that I think that it said something like he was saying that his dad did what he couldn't do or something, like he made his dad do it like he wanted to die, which is terrible. I mean, to be in that, kind of state of mind, but, we don't know. You definitely had a hard life. We probably couldn't see it behind all of the fame and fortune, but a lot of the times celebrities are out there struggling. Even though it looks like it's all glitz and glamour, they're struggling with a lot of demons, and unfortunately he was, and his own father, jealous of him, led to his demise. Marvin Gaye, a true icon. His music definitely lives on. I definitely have my Marvin playlist going. I hope that you'll get yours, and I wish I would have been able to play some of his music in this video, but copyright, so you'll have to do that on your own time. But that's gonna do it for me with my little Black History crime and cocktail. It's a new day, you can see. I'm not gonna deny that. It was Black History Day at church, so had to get my church on today. But anyway, thank you for rocking with us as usual. Love you. See you in the next video.
What's up, you guys? Happy Melanin Monday. This is the last Monday of Black History Month. This is our February edition of Melanin Monday. So thanks for tuning in. And if you're not subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. And also make sure you put a like on the video. Thank you. So, with it being Melanin Monday, we love crime. So we figured we'd touch on two historical Black artists who were actually killed. So you've probably already seen Stacy's portion of Marvin Gaye, in which a lot of us know that story. Again, we just want to touch on these. Today, I will be covering the story of Roger Troutman. So if you don't know that name right off top, that's going to be that distinctive voice you hear on songs like More Bounce to the Ounce, Computer Love, California Love. Roger Troutman, the man behind the voice, that distinctive voice. So I don't know if a lot of you guys know or not, but in April 25th, 1999, his brother, who was also a member of the band, killed him. It was a murder-suicide. And that's one of those cases where nobody truly knows what happened. Nobody knows what conversations they had. Nobody truly knows why Larry chose to kill his little brother. A lot of people say that it was over like some business disputes, because Larry, he was a part of the group, Roger Troutman, Zap Band. That is mainly the name that you know them by. A lot of them in that group were all related. They were all brothers. So Larry Troutman was the manager. And, later on, with Roger having that distinctive voice, he was the one that was like the forefront, like the main person of the group, because he was the one that had that little voice box thing. So he was like the main one. He was the most popular. And he has features with Snoop Dogg, Eazy-E. A lot of West Coast rappers definitely showed Roger Troutman love. In the early 80s is when the group was big with those songs like Computer Love, More Bounce to the Ounce, stuff like that. But yeah, later on, it was mainly just Roger, the one that was out there getting the features and all of that, because he had that distinctive voice. I kind of think, I don't know, we can speculate all day, but I kind of think jealousy maybe played a part in it, because as the 90s hit, Roger was getting those features with the bigger artist, and they say he was thinking about getting new management to just kind of stay up with the times and go, make newer music and stuff like that. He didn't want his brother to be his manager anymore. They had a lot of business that they did together. They did like some real estate together as well. But there was talk saying that Roger didn't want his bigger brother to be his manager no more. So one morning they supposedly met up to talk about that. And people say that maybe they got in a disagreement. And yeah, Larry shot and killed his older brother. I believe Roger Troutman had 2 shots to the chest and 2 shots to the back. He was found outside of his recording studio, and I believe within the hour, they found his brother Larry Troutman dead with a single gunshot wound to the head. He was driving and he shot himself in the head and he crashed. So they found him, like, you know, crashed in the car. And it was murder-suicide. The same bullet that they found in Larry is the same bullets they found in Roger. So it was obvious that Larry was the one that gunned down his own brother. So very tragic. And again, it's one of those that will never be solved. We really don't know what conversations they had. It was just those 2 at that time in the car, I guess, having this conversation outside of the studio. And that was the end of, I always call the group like Zapp and Roger. It's pretty much the end of it. I don't know if any more music really came out after that. Now, I know I have personally seen Zapp Band live. Obviously, Roger wasn't there. This was a few years ago, so there are some family members that keep the band going and they go on tour. They're called Zapp Band. There is a family member, I want to say it's like a nephew or something, that actually still does the voice box thing. And they do a lot of dancing and stuff on stage, and some of the older original members are still there doing those classic hits that we all know. So they're still out there. But Roger Troutman is no more, unfortunately, you know, and he was kind of at the rise of rebuilding his career. He had been collaborating with a lot of West Coast artists and stuff like that. So just a really tragic story. We don't want to hold you guys too long. We just wanted to touch on those 2 because, you know, both Marvin Gaye and Roger Troutman, their music is like, still to this day, people are covering that music, using those beats in so many songs. We're still listening to it in 2023. You'll still hear some of those classic beats of both of those artists on so much music we listen to today. So they're still a part of us. Their music is definitely living on. And yeah, they're just those ones that stick out, you know, in Black history that we all know, and we all still hear them today, whether we know it or not. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know what you think. Why do you think the brother killed his little brother? I personally think it was, yeah, maybe he didn't want to lose that money. He didn't want to lose that income. And he wanted to still be the manager. You know, if you're getting fired, what's your next move? That's definitely what I think happened, you know. So let us know what you guys think of both cases in the comments. And thank you guys again for tuning in. Thank you for rocking with us. As I said, if you're not subscribed already, please do so. Make sure you like this video and feel free to share. Thanks again for watching.